All right. Welcome back, everybody, to another episode of the Golfers Anonymous podcast. Per usual, I'm your host, Noah. And if this is your first time joining us on the show, welcome. I'm going to give you a quick rundown about what we typically do here. So essentially, I started the show because I found that whenever I was out and about at a bar, party, wedding, whatever it is, and I found one person that played golf, automatically I had someone to talk to for the night. We had endless things in common, and maybe you even had a friend going forward or someone to go play golf with. Golf is this very interesting thing where people don't just play golf, they're often addicted to the sport in many ways. So I just wanted to start interviewing people who play the game, talk about their favorite memories, courses they've played, trips they've been on, things like that. So without further ado, my guest this week is Lucas. And Lucas, I'll turn it over to you in a second, but it's basically how I have folks introduce themselves is their name, how long you've been playing golf, and then your current handicap.
Okay, my name is Lucas Beaudoin. I have been playing golf since I was 15, so 12 years now. And I actually do not keep a handicap at the moment, so I'd have to guess probably around a 3 or a 4 right now.
So Lucas, generally how I like to start the show is I just like to ask people like, how'd you get into golf in the first place? Like, what did picking up a club for the first time look like for you?
Yeah, I got into golf my freshman year of high school. I didn't play any sports before that. My grandpa plays golf, so I kind of saw it through him a few times. And I heard that our high school had a golf team, and it seemed like something that could be interesting, a nice outdoor activity. So I decided to try out for the golf team and just got hooked immediately.
So when you first picked it up, you said you got hooked immediately. Was there a certain moment where you were like, I've officially got the golf bug, or to tell me a little bit about that, the kind of, being hooked on it immediately? Because I feel like some people, they pick it up, it's like, I don't really like this thing. Then they come back 5 years later, they fall in love with it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't know if there was like an exact moment. It certainly wasn't like a shot I hit or anything. I think it was just being outdoors at our home course, Lake Cora in Paw Paw, Michigan, just with some of my best friends who also tried out for the team, just walking around on a nice sunny spring day with them. Just super fun. And then, over the course of the months of that first year, improving, makes it more addicting. So,
I've talked about it with some other guests on the show, how like there's often, I feel like a sweet spot of like improvement when you're handicapped, because like you first pick up golf, it's very frustrating, right? Like you can't get the ball in the air, you've got to work on that. Putting is very difficult in the beginning, and then you get to like 20 handicap, 18, 16, 14, you can see like rapid improvement, and I feel like for a lot of people that's when like they really start getting the bug.
yeah, for sure.
So tell me a little bit about then how we've gone from, you picking it up in high school, playing on the high school golf team, to, where you are now working at Liberty National, and how the level of the game has kind of progressed, I guess, over time.
Yeah, it was, through high school, trying to determine what I was going to do after for college. Really, my two big interests were golf and magic, and there's no schools for magic. So I heard about these schools for the PGM schools, professional golf management, and I think it was my junior year of high school, and I heard about those. And by then, I had become a pretty decent golfer, so I decided I was going to do that. After high school, went to Ferris State University in Northern Michigan, which was the first school to have a PGM program, and just fell in love with it more through learning more in depth about the game and the surrounding business of the game, and doing internships in school. And so I did three internships through Ferris, one in Missouri, one in Oregon, one in California. And then after graduation, I had yet to try the East Coast. One of my friends from college was going to Liberty National. They were looking for another assistant, so he put my name in the hat, and that's how I ended up out there.
Awesome. So tell us a little bit about what a PGM program looks like. I think, to your point, there's not a ton of them necessarily across the country, but and I've always been curious, what that looks like from the inside.
Sure. Yeah, there's only like 18 of them or 20, something like that. and it's a business degree that also gets you PGA membership. So it's a 4.5 year program. You do all your business gen eds, and then there's specialized golf classes as well. And the PGA, it's changed a little bit since I've been through it, so I don't know exactly what it looks like now, but it's similar, I'm sure. There's like three main requirements. That is, you got to pass 14 PGA certified tests. You have to complete a certain amount of, I think it's like 16 months of internship working under a PGA professional. And then you have to pass a player ability test, which is 36 holes, and you got to shoot a certain score or less, depending on the course rating. And those three things, along with the, you know, uh, business classes and whatnot, will get you your PGA membership upon graduation. So you can become a assistant pro, head pro, teaching pro, whatever classification you can.
And do you know how long? Because I imagine, when if you do it in school, that my guess is that's like a maybe a very different process than like if you just wanted to do that if you were 30 years old or whatever it was.
Right.
Is it like a quicker process doing it through college?
It's You can do it much quicker on your own.
Oh, okay.
It's kind of your own pace on when you do it yourself, because you could do it an apprentice route. You have to work under a PGA pro if you're going to do it on your own, but you can get that done in, like, one of my friends from Michigan did it that route. He didn't go to university for it, and he did it in 2 years. I think he got his PGA status, but it just depends on the person. Some people are going to take longer to do that.
Got it. That makes sense.
Yeah.
And let's hone in on the ability test. I've always been very interested in that, because to me that sounds like a pretty stressful day. I mean, I've personally never played competitive golf,
Okay.
but I can imagine that's got to be up there with, like, maybe a stadium qualifier, so maybe even more important than that. I mean, it's your livelihood in some ways.
It's very unique because it's the only tournament I can think of where you know what you need to shoot before you start playing golf, which is, golfers always talk about, like, not having a number in mind, like just going out and taking it shot by shot. And this kind of forces you to, like, well, I know what the number is. And it's not like the hardest thing. Like, if you can break 80 twice, you're going to be able to pass it at most
Right.
places. So for some people in the program, you get these scratch golfers that come through, and it's like, well, this is nothing. I'm just going to go shoot a couple rounds of even par. And the course isn't set up hard. Typically, it's like 63 to 6,500 yards. They generally put the pins in the center, so it's like it's a fair test. But if you are kind of like, when I got into college, I was probably around a 7 or 8 handicap. So it's like, I got to play well for
Right.
2 rounds of golf, and I certainly did not pass it the first try. It took me 7 attempts. I passed it while I was on internship in Oregon, my second year. But it's stressful, and I passed it by 5. So coming down the last few holes, it was less stress than
Yeah, what a weight off the shoulders that must have felt like.
one of my best friends, who's a pro down in Texas now. I played with. He passed it on his 4th attempt, I believe, and I played with him in the second round. This was being taken at the university course at Ferris, and he needed to go par in the last 2 to pass on the number, and he 3-putted the 17th hole. So now he needs to birdie 18, and he drained a 30-footer on 18 to pass on the number. Just
Wow.
so much stress.
That's wild, man. I mean, something else that comes to mind for me is, like, it's got you mentioned the point about it being very unique because you have a number you need to shoot, which never happens in a regular tournament. But also, like, you're not competing against other people, right? Like, so I imagine there's a very positive vibe out there. I don't know, like, I imagine the people with you are kind of like rooting for you in
For
some
sure.
way, right? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. There is, with the stress, it's like, not, I don't know, positive vibes is not always what I got out of playing them, but yeah, certainly people are rooting for each other for sure. Yeah.
And it's only that's the only like test of your golf ability is the 2 rounds under 80.
Right. And it's changed now. It used to be like it has to be in that same day. And now you can combine rounds from different PATs, which is
Okay.
nice. I would have definitely passed it sooner if that was a thing when I was going through it. But yeah, it's an interesting tournament.
Yeah, that is interesting because I mean, I just think I know some folks who like teach tennis, and I know the like USTA or whatever it is certification is like you have to hit a serve into this part of the box, into that part of the box. So
Yep.
there's no like you have to hit a 5 yard draw off the tee. There's nothing like that.
Nothing like that. Yeah, they're only concerned with can you shoot a low score, low-ish,
Interesting.
you know.
All right, that's very interesting. I didn't know that. But anyway, so we covered the journey through that program, what that was like. Let's rewind again. How did Magic first become such that second big interest of yours?
Yeah, that was long before golf. I got into Magic when I was 8 in third grade. I got a Magic kit as a birthday gift that year and just loved it immediately, and stuck with it. Really wasn't anything that I thought would become a full time gig until a couple years ago. But I would do it as a side gig, forever. As early as middle school, I was doing
Right.
gigs on the side in high school and college, and even working at Liberty as an assistant for 3 years. I would do it at all of our events, and then on the side, like other golf clubs would hire me and stuff. And it really wasn't until 2022 where I thought, like, I could probably make this a full time gig.
And with like the intersection of golf and Magic, do you find that there are similarities between those two, maybe in terms of like how you practice or anything like that?
There's definitely some. I would say the amount of practice required to be good at it is very similar. Like to keep a high level of golf, you need to practice all the time or play all the time, and it's similar with Magic. Whenever I do find myself going through a stretch where I'm not practicing Magic as much, which isn't often. I can only think of like 2 times where I went a long time without practicing. It's like you suffer. It's noticeable that
Right.
you're worse. So it's just constantly having to fiddle with it and work on it, is very similar to golf.
Got it. So now in your current role, I mean, correct me if I'm wrong, director of Magic at Liberty National.
That's right.
How did that come about? That's got to be a one of one role in the golf industry, if I had to
I,
guess.
I, I would think so. Yeah, it came about. I was getting a little burnt out on the assistant pro life, working at Liberty, and so 2 years ago, and the Magic was picking up as well. Like I was doing more side gigs, and it was getting to a point where I thought, like, I could probably make this work full time. I'm getting enough side jobs that I think I could make it work if I drop the golf stuff. So 2 years ago, I told our general manager at the time, Lee Smith, that this is probably going to be my last year working as an assistant. I'm going to try this Magic thing just on my own. And a few days later, him and our head pro, Dan, and our director of security, Joe, kind of came back to me and said, "How would you like to be our in-house magician?" Because even as an assistant, I was like, whenever we'd have a tournament, they would say, "Lucas, just do Magic. Like we have enough
Right.
assistants to wash cards. Like just go do tricks for these guys." So they saw some value in keeping that around because the members love it and their guests love it whenever they bring people to the club. So, they came to me with that idea, and it's like, well, yes, like that's a no-brainer. I would love to stay here and stay connected to the golf world, and then be able to do more Magic on the side outside of Liberty. So
Right.
very, very grateful that they wanted to do that, and it's been great. I think it's working out very well.
Yeah. So are you still doing like golf things at Liberty, or is it truly like that is your full-time role
Yeah,
at the club?
I don't do any golf work anymore at Liberty. It's just magic. I still play golf.
Right.
We'll play at Liberty, but my only job there is to perform.
That's awesome. Well, congrats on that.
Thanks.
That it's definitely a really interesting, journey you've been on with these two things. So congrats on that.
Thank
I
you.
think it's really interesting. Did do you ever miss the golf work at all? I assume maybe not, maybe a little.
Not really. I mean, there's some things that were certainly a lot of fun that I look back on fondly, but the magic is more fun. So
Right.
it's hard to miss. Yeah, I do miss seeing my coworkers as often as I did because
Right.
I see them less now. I'm not there every day. So
Gotcha. So tell me like your day in the life now, just because I'm now curious about the day in the life of someone who's now doing magic full time.
there's definitely not like a normal day ever.
Right.
It's very different day to day, week to week. Basically, with the Liberty stuff, I work every event that the club has, which is a lot between member events and corporate outings and tour stuff. Every event I'm there. Once a month, I will go in and do a weekend where I just hang out at the bar, and whoever's there gets to see some magic that day. And then any private events that members host, like dinner parties and stuff, they have the option to hire me for that as well. So it comes out, I don't know, maybe 40 to 50 days a year. I'm contracted to work at Liberty. And then the rest of the year, I fill with private events, private contracting. So I'll do a bunch of corporate events in New York, New Jersey, all over. I did the No Laying Up stuff.
Right.
I was at their NIT event in Phoenix a couple weeks ago. Just all sorts of stuff, weddings, other golf clubs hire me, it's kind of all over the place. So really not like a normal day. Like some weeks I'll have 6 shows, another week I'll have one, so it's interesting for sure.
Cool, man. Well, I guess this is a golf podcast, so let's go quickly back to your time as an assistant pro. Now, tell
Yeah.
me, I don't think a lot of people really understand like the inner workings of a golf course, right?
Yeah.
Like people, they show up, they jump in their cart, they walk, they play golf, and they go home, or maybe they have a
Yeah.
beer, they go home. But I think there's a lot that goes on behind the scenes. So I think if you could,
Yeah.
tell us a little bit about that, I think that'd be really cool.
Yeah. Especially with Liberty, there's, of all the places I've worked, there's more that needs to happen to keep that place running than any other club. Liberty is valet only, so we have a valet team. So that's another component that I've never seen anywhere else. We've got a boat that runs from Manhattan to the club, so there's another facet there. I mean, the biggest thing is the grounds crew and all the work that they do, especially with a top tier golf course like Liberty, to keep that in shape. Yeah, it's a big staff and a lot of people behind the scenes to keep it all running. So between the valet, the assistants to keep the carts going, the caddies, the caddy master. Caddies are required at Liberty before 3 p.m. So we've got a pretty big caddy staff and caddy master there. All the teaching pros stay busy. We've got a great teaching instructor, Jorge Parada, who works with a lot of LPGA players. Yeah, it's a lot that goes on to keep that place running, and in any golf course for that matter.
And as an assistant pro, do you have like a specific set of responsibilities that like you're looking over every single day, or does it work on a bit of a rotating basis?
When I was an assistant, it was it rotated a lot between what we were doing. Some days it was in the shop, working with the merchandise, booking tea times. Some days doing a lot of teaching. Some days you're outside doing the carts, helping with bags at valet and coming off the boat. And usually we would each get assigned a couple of tournaments that would be our responsibility to run. So when I was an assistant, I ran the ladies member guest and one other men's member guest every year. So those were kind of the two tournaments I had to look at and come up with the tee gifts and prizes and all the games on the golf course and whatnot.
And was all of your experience working in golf at private clubs, or was it a mix of public and private?
No, it was my first job in high school was at a private club in Southwest Michigan, Point of Woods, and then my internships in college were two public resorts and then a private club. I worked at Big Cedar Lodge in Missouri. I worked at Bandon Dunes in Oregon, and then I worked at Cal Club in San Francisco.
All right. I think a lot of people are going to be curious about Big Cedar and Bandon.
Sure.
So I guess what was it like working at such? I imagine it's. I mean, I've been to Sand Valley. I've never been out to Bandon, but it. I imagine a place like that has got to be hectic, to say the least.
When I was there in 2017, and I was there for 6 months, and it was nowhere. It was nothing like it is now. Like now, I hear people like you need to book a year in advance, and it's still like a lottery to get into
Right.
that place. Now it really was like still relatively easy to get out there. When I was there in 2017, like I just think about how much golf I played there when I interned. I played because that's all there is to do out there.
That's what
Is
I've heard. There's like
play golf.
literally
Like there's
nothing.
really nothing else. Like you got to drive 30 minutes to get to a Walmart. Like there's just nothing. So when I was there, I played 160 rounds in 6 months. I think.
Wow.
So like there was, you could get out. And now, if I was there
That's
now,
unbelievable. 100 and dude, that is so much golf.
a lot of golf. That's when I passed my PAT because that's I was playing so much, I got pretty good.
Right.
But I think I would struggle to play that much now with how busy that place is. But
Yeah.
it's the best.
Wow.
I mean,
160 rounds.
yeah, lot of golf, lot of golf. But it's the best. It's the best. It's easily my favorite golf in the United States. I mean, there's nothing like it. All
Do,
courses, all the holes. It's just incredible.
I know you probably get this a lot. Do you have a favorite course from when you were out there
It
of the
changed.
resort courses?
Yeah, it changed many times while I was out there. For a good chunk of the time when I was working there, it was trails, and now I I would say Old Mac now is my favorite, which was my least favorite when I was out there. So,
Yeah.
but I haven't played them in 5 years. I need to get back there.
Do do golf courses like that ever get old? Like
No,
obviously most people don't get that ability, right, to go out to a place like Bandon on a regular basis. Like do they ever get old? Most people in life maybe they'll play them 5 times and that would be
sure.
amazing.
Yeah, not at all. I love that style of golf, links style. There's just so many options on every shot, so much more than parkland golf, and especially when you're on the water there with the wind, it's changing every day, and there's just so many options. It's incredible. I remember back to back days out there that I played Pacific Dunes, and the 12th hole there is this par five, and like 510-yard par five, something like that. And on the first day, it was downwind, and I went driver 9-iron onto the green in two. And then the next day, I played it again, and the wind shifted, and I went driver off deck, driver off deck. So it's constantly changing, and it makes it so fun.
Well, yeah, that's really cool. Yeah, like you said, I'm sure Bandon has changed a ton since 2017. Obviously, like golf in general is way, I mean, I don't know if it's way more popular, but it's definitely significantly more popular than it was in 2017 with COVID and everything.
No
Um,
question.
and I feel like now you just have so much more I feel like there's so much more like content in general about places like Bandon, about these resorts. So like it's so much easier for people to like know about them and things like
Yeah.
that. Back to your time as an assistant pro in general. Did you have like a I didn't throw this on the list of questions beforehand, so I'm going to put you on the spot.
Okay.
Favorite job in golf, least favorite job in golf you've ever done?
Oh wow. I'll start with least favorite. To be honest, there really isn't a job I haven't enjoyed in golf. So really, I still had a good time doing this. But I have caddied a bunch at various spots. First job was as a caddy at Point of Woods, and then caddied at Kingsley Club up in Michigan during some summer semesters at school and caddied a little bit at Cal Club while I was working there. And that's probably my least favorite thing to do in golf is caddy, which is interesting because sometimes it's great when you get like a really fun loop, and then sometimes it's like really miserable if you get some
Right.
people you are not vibing with. So that I would say that's my least favorite, but by no means did I dislike doing any of that. And my favorite job in golf, I mean, if I could say director of magic, that's definitely my favorite. But that's not really. It's kind of golf adjacent, so I'll give you another one. I mean, probably my time at Bandon, just with how much I was able to play. It was such a fun summer and fall.
Got it. And are most people like, obviously like you said, Bandon's unique because it's truly in the middle of nowhere. There's nothing really else to do. Is everybody who's working out there playing as much golf as they can, similar to you?
No, not really. I mean, they take in a lot of interns every year because it's such a big property. So we had like 14 interns or something like that that came in for that summer and fall, and there was six of us who would play all the time.
Right.
But the people that are there full time, they would play a lot, but not 160 rounds.
Got it.
So
That makes sense.
yeah.
So now, as so are you like now that Magic is kind of your full-time job, are you playing much less golf than you would like to, or what's the dynamic there?
I have much more time to play now, which is
Okay.
great. So like over the summer, I was playing more than for sure more than I was as an assistant. I've kind of slowed down this fall, just been busy with shows, so I haven't played as much. But I would say I play more now.
Oh, okay. Very
So
nice. And does the fact that you are, you've gone through PGM, you like know a lot about golf, the golf swing, like is that ever like a burden to you? Like do you try to like over like coach yourself at all? I feel like I would be doing that personally.
no, I'm very much not thinking about that stuff when I play golf. Very much a feel kind of player. So even though I know a lot of that stuff, I really don't think about it.
And I guess, again, to put you on the spot, does the magic carry over virtually, or are you strictly in-person tricks only?
I could try something over camera if you want to. If you want
Let's
to.
do it, dude. Let's
Yeah.
try it. I'm very curious. I love this stuff.
All right. I'll use a business card here. I'll try to keep it in the frame. I'm gonna fold this, and I'm gonna tear it.
Okay.
All right. And, 4 pieces here.
Okay.
All right. So you can see that. Right?
Yep.
Watch this first piece here. If I touch. And if you were here, I'd let you pull on that. It's not glue. That is
Wow.
genuine back on there, right? And it's a beautiful trick. You can watch it from anywhere. Like I'll show you from my point of view here. So the second piece.
What the heck, dude?
All right, goes right back on there. The last piece is tougher because there's 2 sides instead of one, so you do need to use a little fire. Let me get
No way.
And there you go.
Dude, what?
Back together.
Wow. All right. That was very impressive. This might have to be the first episode that gets published on YouTube, just so the people can see that one. Wow, that was awesome, man. Do people at Liberty National like? Is there like a favorite trick that people like ask you to do, or like how does that typically work?
There's definitely favorites. There's some. There's groups of people who like these couple of things. There's groups of people who really
Right.
like these couple of things. Two of the tricks that they showed in the no lane up video are two of the favorites. So the 3 card Monty
Hmm.
is my go-to for people who have never seen me perform,
Got it.
because it can be done quickly. It's very visual and it happens in other people's hands. So it's just a great opener. So I do that one a lot. And then the trick that I did with the photograph is a fan favorite at the club as well. I get asked to do that one a lot.
What was I gonna say? Sorry, I'm still thinking about that. What you just did, trying to think about how you did it. But do you now? I guess so. Those are the tricks that people like you. Do you have a favorite trick? I guess was going to be my question.
Um, I don't have a favorite. I don't have one favorite that I do. There's just so many that are uh, so beautiful. I don't like to narrow it down to one.
Right.
I do have a favorite trick that another magician has done that I think is the greatest trick ever done, and that is Penn and Teller's Magic Bullets, which is their version of a bullet catch. And you can watch a full performance of that on YouTube. I think it's the greatest trick that's ever been made and done.
All right. I'm gonna give it a YouTube search right after this.
It's
But to finish us out, we'll rattle off some golf specific questions. I know we've been jumping back and forth between the golf and the Magic. Hopefully, people are can keep up with it. But let's start off. Favorite golf course in the world. It seems like you've obviously interned at some amazing courses. I'm sure you've traveled a little bit. What's your favorite golf course you've ever played?
uh, this is a bit funny. My favorite golf course is not really a golf course. It's Blum Hollow, which is a 6-hole dirt track that I built on my grandpa's farm back in college. It's just cups and flags that we cut into the ground. We made little tee markers and we just kind of mow it with a lawnmower, and we play it with one club. You're kind of putting through rough basically, and it's just the most fun you'll ever have playing golf. So that is my favorite place to play for sure. If I have to go with like an actual golf course that people can go and play themselves, it is probably the old course. I was lucky enough to play that my senior year of college, and tough to, not say that one. Just the whole
Yeah.
experience of that is super fun.
That's awesome, man. I mean, to your point about the course you built, you might have said it and I missed it. Does it have a name? I know a lot of times people will name courses
Yeah,
they've built like that.
Blum Hollow. My grandpa's name's Bob Blum, and I do have a YouTube channel for it. You can check that place out if you really want to.
That's
It's
awesome, dude. I had on Sev from Course Maps, who makes these things
yeah,
behind me, and he said one time, and he does like these. You might have seen him, like New York City golf guides. He does them about
yeah,
like all the courses
yeah.
in New
I've
York.
seen it before. Yeah,
And he was telling me one time he got a map request for essentially something like Blum Hollow, like some course that somebody had built. Yeah, I
mm-hmm.
think it was in like the middle of Idaho. They just like built it in
Yeah.
their backyard, and
That's great.
he was like, dude, I can't find this course anywhere. But and then the guy like sent him the map coordinates so he could just like
Yeah,
look at it on Google Earth.
I love it.
And I love that stuff, man. I think golf is so unique in that way. Obviously, you could throw down some cement, throw some paint, and make like a tennis court or a
Sure. Right.
basketball court. But like those will never have like the individual touch and feel that like the
Totally.
thing you built does, or endless things like that have.
Right.
I think that's really unique about the game of golf. But yeah, obviously the old course. I've never been out there, but I'm actually going to Scotland for a wedding in July. So I'm hopefully I can time up something there and get
Yeah.
lucky off the singles queue.
Yeah, for sure.
Is that how you got out through the singles queue?
We got out through the you can put like foursomes in a lottery thing.
Got it.
Something like that. And that was a senior class trip that we did through the PGM program. So we got out. That was our first round in Scotland. Was the old course. That was the first full day we had there, our group got to go play that, and it was 75 degrees, sunny, no wind, just a perfect day. It was so much fun.
That's awesome, man. This might sound like a crazy question, but do you wish there was wind? Do you wish you got to play it in like the brutal conditions at all?
I think for the first round out there, it was kind of nice to not have wind, but certainly
Right.
when I go back and play it again, I am going to hope for some tough conditions. Yeah.
Yeah, that makes sense, man.
Yeah.
So St. Andrews, your favorite course you've ever played? Anything on the horizon, or like top of the bucket list that you have your eye on going to?
Um, I mean, there's a million spots that I could say. I mean, of course, Augusta would be fun, but very, very unlikely. There's a ton. I mean, there's still so many like New York spots and Jersey spots that I have yet to check out. I really need to get on some of those spots. I recently got linked up with someone at Friar's Head, so I'm going to try to get out there next year. I've only heard incredible things about that place, but I also love playing like public dirt tracks. Like
Right.
I some of my favorite memories are like what most people would call like the crappiest golf courses you've ever seen. Like I have so much fun with dirt tracks like that. So really anywhere I'm happy.
Yeah. Do you have a favorite course in the New York City limits? I imagine it must have been pretty different for you coming from Michigan to all of a sudden playing golf in New York City. Like, I guess
Yeah.
tell me about what that transition was like, and then what courses have you taken a liking to since living there?
Yeah, you got to work much harder to play golf in New
Right.
York, New Jersey, not just with the travel
Trying to
time.
play golf is practically a full-time job in New
Yeah,
York City.
it is. Yeah, it's definitely harder to. You got to really commit to it to play golf out here. But love Bethpage. Played Bethpage 3 times. So much fun. Such a challenge, but very fair. A lot of uphill blind approaches out there.
Right.
So really challenging in that regard. Some great public tracks all over, like relatively inexpensive. Diker Beach is fun. Marine Park, Forest Park are our three great public tracks in New York. On the Jersey side, obviously a treat to play Liberty as much as I'm able to. Somerset Hills is one of my favorites for sure. And there's some great par 3 tracks. Flushing Meadows in Queens, which is open for night golf too, is so much fun. And then Reese Park is another great par 3 track. So a lot of good stuff out here for sure.
You think in New York City that there wouldn't be room for golf courses, but
Yeah.
Sev's showing there's like, I don't know, whatever, like 20, 23 of
Yeah.
them, something like that.
There's
There's
a
a
lot.
lot of golf courses to
Good
be
stuff.
played, and most of them, or at least half of them, you can get to on the subway. And I feel like
Totally.
a lot of people just don't really realize that. People are like, I have friends who are love New York, but their love for golf like outweighs their love for New York. Like I
Yeah,
could never move there because I love golf too much. But like
sure.
I think if you really love
Both.
both of them, you can make
Yeah,
it work.
totally. Yeah. La Tourette in Staten Island is another one that's really, really good.
Well, last two questions for you. First, we'll go favorite golf memory.
Oh, yes. Boy, I looked at that yesterday and I had one, and now I can't remember what it was. Give me a second here. Let me mull
No worries.
this over. Favorite golf memory. I mean, there's plenty of amazing memories from just screwing around at Blum Hollow, the dirt track at my grandpa's farm. I'd say all my favorite memories come from there, actually. But there's some very memorable rounds at Bandon Dunes. I remember playing with my buddy Tyler, and I went at Pacific Dunes. I went 40-31, and that back nine was incredibly memorable. Birdied 18 to shoot 31, and he shot 33 on the back nine. We had a crazy match. So that's up there for sure. I mean, the PAT I passed, very memorable. I can remember every shot I hit that day. Those are up there for sure. Some
Oh,
high school tournaments. My junior year of high school, I won our Blue Devil Invitational in like 40 degrees and rain, which is by far the biggest tournament I won in high school. I didn't win a ton, but that was a fun one.
Perfect, man. I got one other question, because you brought up
Yeah.
the test again. Is that just a one time, like you pass it once and you're done, or do you have
Yep.
to like recertify?
Nope. It's one time and done as long as you maintain your PGA membership. If you drop your membership and want to get back into it, then you got to do it again. But it's as soon as you pass it, you're good. You can never play
Got
golf again if you wanted to.
it. And
So,
are you gonna maintain your membership even though Magic is the full time gig?
yeah, it's a little tricky because you have to maintain your membership. You got to like do these things in golf like that
Okay.
count towards credits, which I don't know if I can really continue to achieve because I'm not like working in golf. So
Right.
I know there's like inactive status that you can do with your membership. So I think I'm going to try to do something like that if I can,
Got
because
it.
I don't want to drop it. I worked pretty hard to
Right.
get it. So
Well, we need to get a little petition together to maybe get like a good old sponsors exemption or something, like a Magic
exactly,
exemption, so you can keep the
I'm
status.
with you. I'm with you.
Awesome, man. Well, last question that I always ask folks when they come on the show is has become the big one, I guess, because it tends to be pretty loaded. But why do you love golf? Why has it been such a big part of your life for so long, and why will it continue to be that?
Yeah, that's a tough one. Like everyone, I love it for so many things. It's such a unique way to meet people, and you meet so many people through the game. And it is, as big as the game is, it does feel like a small world. Just even with the no laying up stuff. I've been a fan of theirs since high school, and then being able to meet them and do Magic for them, it's just like what a world. All because of golf. So that's probably the number one reason. But beyond that, the playing stuff, I think it can be such an artistic sport as well. Just the different ways to craft shots and the short game parts of it I love. It's just so much feel and so much fun. So those are, I would say, the big reasons that I'm drawn to golf and will continue to play golf and love golf.
Amazing. And yeah, like people have probably heard me say this countless times if they listen to the show regularly, but it's not uncommon for people to have, 5 or 6, 10 different things that all combine into one thing, and that's golf. And I think that's what's so cool about it. But Lucas, thank you so much for coming on the show, man. For folks that are interested in, some of your work, or just they want to come find, learn more about you, like what's the best way for people to do that? Like Instagram, or do you have a website? Why don't you let the people
Yep.
know?
Yeah, Lucas Magic Man on Instagram and YouTube. You can go check out some stuff there. And my website is lucasbeaudoin.com. There's also a link to that on my Instagram. So if you want to check out some magic, if you want to book me, you can go through the website. But it's all on there. So
All right. Perfect. You guys know what to do. Thank you so much for listening, everybody, and we will see you next week. Thanks again, Lucas.